Bonjour, mesdames et messieurs. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank everyone for joining us today. I'd like to welcome the Honorable Daniel Vandal, Minister of Northern Affairs, and Minister Paulie Chinna, Minister of Municipal and Community Affairs, Minister of Housing, and Minister responsible for homelessness for the Northwest Territories. Welcome to this announcement on the Housing Working Group for the Northwest Territories. We will first have remarks from the ministers, and following that, we will have a media availability. Donc d'abord, les allocutions des ministres, puis ensuite un point de presse. Now I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Vandal for his opening remarks.
Thank you. Merci, Udlakut, Tansi, hello, and bonjour. I want to begin by acknowledging that I'm speaking to you from my office in St. Boniface, St. Vital, in the city of Winnipeg, homeland of the Métis Nation and Treaty 1 territory. It's a great pleasure to be here with you today, and I'd like to acknowledge Minister Paulie Chinna from the government of the Northwest Territories. I want to thank all partners for their hard work on advancing quality housing solutions for the North by the North. This also includes close collaboration with my federal colleagues. And I would be remiss if I did not mention the hard work and the leadership of MP Michael McLeod, who's a true champion of the people of the Northwest Territories. I know he wanted to be here today, but he's been busy continuing to work on behalf of his constituents. In my first visit to Northwest Territories in January of 2020, Michael and Premier Cochrane took me to visit Betchko to meet with the community there and to see the urgent need for housing. I can't wait to go back once we finish this pandemic. We recognize that COVID has further exacerbated all of those challenges, including overcrowding, availability, affordability, and quality for Northerners and those living in Indigenous communities. That's why it's so important that we work together to address these issues through a whole of government approach, together with other governments and other partners. So today I'm happy to announce the formation of a new housing working group. This group will work together to find ways to respond to the housing needs of Northwest Territories. I want to highlight the great efforts of Minister Paulie Chinna and her leadership in our work together in partnership toward the establishment of the working group. This working group is the start of something bold and innovative, which I'm confident will bring positive change to northern communities. By different orders of government working together towards the same goals as part of this working group, we can achieve this change. When it comes to housing in the North, we know that we must listen to the voices of Northerners. That's where we will find the solutions. And with the start of this working group, that's exactly what we're doing. It takes a collective effort to tackle challenges such as this, and different perspectives will come up with better solutions. We will be working closely together to help develop policies, make sure that strategies are appropriate for the North, and play a role in planning for the future of housing, because after all, community begins at home. Our government's recent announcement that the $60 million Northern carve-out set aside for Northwest Territories under the Co-Investment Fund of National Housing Program will support the construction of many new affordable housing units, and this is a step in the right direction. This investment is the largest single-year housing investment in the Northwest Territories by any federal government in recent memory, and comes on the heels of previous investments which have already provided housing support to over 9,000 Northern families in need. We know that these issues will not be solved overnight, so this funding is a start, and there will be more coming. That's why today I'm also pleased to announce that the funding of $25 million to the government of Northwest Territories is flowing for this construction season. And this is the result of true partnership, and I am confident of more positive news as the working group gets started. As you know, Budget 2021 is investing $6 billion over 5 years with $389 million ongoing in distinctions-based funding to support infrastructure in Indigenous communities. This includes $4.3 billion of new money over 4 years in the Indigenous Community Infrastructure Fund, a distinctions-based fund to support immediate demands as prioritized by Indigenous partners with shovel-ready infrastructure projects. As part of Canada's Arctic and Northern Policy Framework, we're working towards immediate and long-term priorities for the North. Part of our goal is to support resilient and healthy Northern and Indigenous peoples. Canada will continue to work with territories, provinces, and Indigenous partners to build back better in a way that supports your needs as Northerners. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today. I look forward to working together towards safer, better, and sustainable housing. Miigwech, merci. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Ministre. And now over to Minister Chinna.
Thank you, and thank you, Minister Vandal. And thank you for joining me here today on behalf of Minister Hussen, Minister Miller, Minister Bennett, and MP MacLeod. I'm pleased to join my Government of Canada colleagues here today to announce the creation of the Intergovernmental Housing Working Group for the Northwest Territories. Addressing the housing needs of the Northwest Territories communities is not something any single government can do alone. Many governments have a role to play in housing, including the Government of Canada, the Government of the Northwest Territories, Indigenous governments, and community governments. With so many players, it is really important that we are working together as much as we can to make sure that the people who need our support know what supports are available and know how to access them. This is one of the reasons this working group is so important. There are a lot of different funding programs and policies offered by our governments to help address housing needs in the Northwest Territories. Working together to make sure we are coordinating our efforts and our communication with the Northwest Territories residents about how to apply for all the programs and supports available to them will be critical to our success. This working group will also let us make sure that everybody involved in housing in the North understands the unique needs and challenges of delivering the programs here. The housing needs in the Northwest Territories are significant and not the same from one community to the next. We have a short construction season, high cost, and many communities without all-season access roads. Having such broad engagements from the Government of Canada on this working group will help us effectively understand the unique housing landscape of the Northwest Territories and develop a common approach for them to meet. Understanding the needs and priorities of Indigenous peoples will have a big part of that, and it's a priority of mine to engage Indigenous governments in housing planning. This working group is an important step to making the perspective of these governments and to be included in the discussions about future housing in the Northwest Territories. I'm pleased that the federal government is recognizing the unique challenges of housing in the Northwest Territories and agreed to allocate $25 million for immediate housing needs. Coming from a small community myself, I know what a significant impact an investment like this can be. That's why I pushed hard to get this funding, and I'm happy to be here today to speak about it. This is another example of what we can do by working together in partnership across governments. It is through partnership and building relationships that we will be able to ensure the Northwest Territories residents have a safe and affordable place to call home. Make no mistake, today's announcements are important, but significant housing needs still exist and still need to be addressed across the Northwest Territories. I look forward to seeing all the good that will come out of this working group and the funding that would be announced here today. Once again, I would like to acknowledge my working relationship with Minister Vandal, Minister Miller, Minister Bennett, MP MacLeod, and I would also like to acknowledge the efforts of Minister Hussen, who has worked and developed a strong working relationship with me here in the Northwest Territories. Together we can come to an accomplishment and look at perspectives and ideas and how we can work together in collaboration, establishing this working group. Merci. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Thank you both. We will now open up the media availability. Nous allons maintenant commencer le point de presse. We will have one question and one follow-up question per reporter. Nous aurons une question et une question de suivi par journaliste. Monsieur l'opérateur, c'est à vous.
Thank you, merci. Please press star 1 at this time for any question. Veuillez s'il vous plaît appuyer sur étoile 1 maintenant pour poser une question. There will be a brief pause while the participant register for questions. Il y aura un court délai vous permettant de vous enregistrer dans la file d'attente pour la période de questions. Thank you for your patience. Merci de patienter. Our first question, notre première question est de Sarah Sigley from Cabin Radio. Please go ahead. La parole est à vous.
Hi, thank you guys all for having us here and making this announcement. My first question is just kind of a clarifying question about the $25 million that's announced today. Is this going to actually help make new units, or is it just to help get construction materials up to the Northwest Territories?
I can begin and perhaps turn it over to Minister Chinna. I can tell you, $25 million is funding that was in the 2021 budget, and it's going to flow directly to the government of Northwest Territories. I fully understand that the issue of housing is going to trying to make a dent in NWT housing is going to cost more than $25 million. I see it as a down payment that will allow NWT, the government of NWT, to essentially spend it as they see fit. It could be used to lever other funds, or it could be invested directly into housing. So that is the federal government down payment to the government of Northwest Territories.
Perfect. And if I can just do a follow-up to that, I guess just with this new intergovernment agency, is it basically, how are you going to consult the Indigenous governments? Is it going to be a working group with every Indigenous government in the NWT? Will it be project-based? How will that communication work out?
Minister, do you want to try that one?
Thanks. Thank you, Minister Vandal. The working group is coming together, and we are looking at how we are going to be collaborating with the Indigenous groups in the Northwest Territories. We do have 17 of them throughout the territory, and we have been in conversation, and also with Dene Nation as well too. So once we are able to establish and to be able to identify the representatives of this table and how are we going to be working in collaboration together, our first meeting is scheduled, I want to say, 2 weeks from now, that we were supposed to be meeting close to the end of the month. So all those further details would be more clarified at that time. Merci.
Thank you. Merci. The next question. La prochaine question est de Lenny Lamberink from CBC North. Please go ahead. La parole est à vous.
Thank you. I'm curious to know who is all going to be on this working group.
Thank you. This is a collaboration between Canada and the Northwest Territories. So we're looking at federal representation at the table, territorial representation, and also the Indigenous groups as well. And like I said, we would be meeting in 2 weeks from now. So those further details would be rolling out, and we'd be able to clarify the participants around the table. But it's quite an exciting opportunity. This is the first time that the Northwest Territories is engaging with the federal government and really wanting to address housing strongly, and how we can further elaborate on that relationship so it could positively have huge effects on the Northwest Territories. Merci.
In follow-up to that, you mentioned that the first meeting is going to be in 2 weeks, and I wonder, have you set any agenda items? Like, what are the priorities of this working group more specifically?
Thank you for the question. Those items would be determined at that working table. We all have perspectives that we have to deliver at this table as well, too, coming from the Government of Canada, also the Northwest Territories and the Indigenous groups, and we need to come to a common goal. And how are we going to be establishing and working towards looking at further housing opportunities for the Northwest Territories? So the importance of this first meeting is to determine a lot of those to clarify those items for discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. Merci. Once again, please press star 1 for any question. De nouveau, n'hésitez pas à appuyer sur étoile 1 pour toute question. Our next question, notre prochaine question est de Mariah Caruso from CKLB Radio. Please go ahead. La parole est à vous.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much. I'm curious to know, how long is this new working group set to operate? Is there an expiry date?
Maybe I could try this and then turn it over to you, Minister. I think the objective of the working group is to eliminate those structural barriers to so that community groups can access housing funding at the federal government, CMHC, or the territorial government. So there's no end date that it's got to be done by such and such a date. At least I don't think that, at this point there isn't. But we want results, and we want it to be results focused. So high-level public officials from all governments will be there to eliminate barriers and that are there that I mean, I know I live in Winnipeg. I know that it's different doing business in Winnipeg than it is in Yellowknife and in other northern areas. So let's try to address those and make sure that funding is flowing adequately. And there's a lot to catch up on.
Right, thank you. And in response to that, maybe Minister Chinna can respond to this. I understand there's no exact responsibilities or priorities set out just yet, but is there anything from yourself that you are ready to bring to the table that you want to announce as a priority for yourself?
I'm wanting to look at the positive effects of this working group, and you know what, like I had said, that this is the first of its kind between the Government of Canada and the Northwest Territories, and with the funding announcements that are coming forward, and looking at increasing our public housing stock and available, looking at home ownership opportunities as well too, and dealing with the overcrowding situation throughout the Northwest Territories. The list goes on as well, and also addressing homelessness and those significant needs throughout the territory. But I'm quite excited for this group to be established, and I'm quite excited for the first meeting to commence. And I don't have a specific date, but it's set for within 2 weeks from today. Thank you.
Thank you. Merci. As a reminder, please press star 1 for any question. À titre de rappel, veuillez appuyer sur étoile 1 maintenant pour poser une question. There are no further questions. Il n'y a plus de questions.
Thank you. Merci. This concludes today's press conference. Ceci conclut le point de presse d'aujourd'hui. Merci.
Bye-bye, Minister. Have a good week.
Thank you. Merci, Minister Vandal. A good week to you as well, too.